Meet Fry and Leela. Follow their journey as they raise their brood, feed their chicks, protect them from predators, and teach their young how to be a bluebird. In North America, we have eastern bluebirds, western bluebirds, and mountain bluebirds. Overlaying these maps, we can see that most of the U.S. and Mexico and various parts of Canada have at least one species of bluebird. Here in Florida, we have eastern bluebirds. Leela is attracted to Fry's goofy personality and vibrant coloring. Fry is attracted to Leela's ample brood patch. A brood patch is a bare patch of skin on the female's chest that enables her to keep her eggs and chicks warm. Spring is almost here, and Fry has found an excellent nesting site. Prior to laying eggs, Leela puts the finishing touches on her nest while Fry keeps a lookout for predators. And before you know it, we have eggs. 1, 2, 3, 4, and you know what that means? Breakfast. Only kidding, it means chicks. First, we have the professor, with his sparse tuft of head feathers and bulging eyeballs. He's followed several hours later by Zap, Kif, and Amy. On day 4, I spotted this southern black racer snake close to the birdhouse, which makes this the perfect time to discuss predators. Fry and Leela have to worry about several predators besides snakes, including this giant raccoon named Lure. They also have to watch out for red-shouldered hawks and other birds of prey, as well as Petunia, our adorable eastern gray squirrel. Fortunately for the bluebirds, they know how to handle Petunia. And here are a few of those close encounters in slow-mo. But don't worry, Petunia was unfazed and she got back at them by eating nearly all of their dried mealworms. As for the snake, I MacGyvered up a homemade snake baffle, partly based on instructions I found online. Instead of the recommended wire mesh, I used a Dollar Tree wire mesh basket held onto the steel stovepipe by toggle bolts. It's Bender! Now, where were we? Day 1, Day 2, Day 3, Day 4. At this point, I had to stop checking the nest to prevent the chicks from fledging early. Bluebirds are primarily insectivores, with insects making up a large part of their diet. However, they eat a few other things as well. In this next series of clips, I'm going to guess which foods Fry and Leela are bringing to their nest. Please let me know which guesses you disagree with in the comments below. Moth. Grub. Beetle. Frog. Roach. Spider. Mole cricket. Caterpillar. Spider. Frog. Lizard. Caterpillar. Berry. Fly. Caterpillar. Frog. Baby snake. Grasshopper. Caterpillar. You might notice Fry and Leela removing a white glob from the nest. That's a fecal sac, a thick mucous membrane that surrounds the waist of nestlings. Essentially, a bird diaper. Bluebird parents carry these fecal sacs several yards away from the nest before dropping them in mid-air. This compact little package makes it easier for the bluebird parents to clean the nest. It also makes it less likely that predators will find it. And I am so grateful for hands. To appease my avian overlords, I decided to offer them the occasional snack. These are superworms, a type of beetle larva that is commonly sold at pet stores. I placed the superworms on a plate and created a moat to prevent their escape. Another treat you can get for bluebirds is mealworms. However, don't buy soldier fly larvae. It turns out they don't like that. It's a good idea to add crushed sterilized eggshells when providing mealworms, since mealworms are calcium depleting. Fry and Leela seemed quite pleased with my offerings. They generally preferred the live superworms over the dried mealworms. However, when no superworms were available, they were quick to take the mealworms. They were especially fond of mealworms that had been soaking in water. True to his namesake, Fry was quite often clumsy and not very smooth. Other times, however, Fry was quite slick. especially when defending their food source from this gray catbird. Let's see that again in slow-mo. One more time. You're looking real smug there, Fry. Leela was generally less clumsy, although she did have her moments. Both parents were, however, always adorable. Both Fry and Leela were fantastic hunters and easily found superworms hiding in the flowers. They brought the vast majority of the live superworms to their babies for consumption. Now, back to the babies. Starting at day 16, the babies start to tentatively peek out of the nest. By day 17, the nestlings even seem to fight a bit over whose turn it is to peek out of the hole. They start to get more restless and can frequently be seen jumping inside their nest box. They start to get braver and stick their head farther out than before, sometimes even looking like they are ready to jump out. The parents can even be heard in the background calling their babies to fledge the nest. The chicks are now 18 days old and practice flapping their wings inside the nest. Fry and Leela have cut back a little bit on feeding them in order to encourage them to leave the nest. It's now day 19. The professor and Amy have recently fledged the nest, and we are waiting on Zap and Kif to vacate as well. First up is Zap. Zap puts his head farther out of the nest as he works up the courage to follow his siblings. Here we are on hyperspeed as we observe that for several minutes, Zap pokes his head in and out of the nest. Until... At 9:30 a.m., Zap summons his bravery and flies to an oak tree several feet beyond the camera. Once again in slow-mo. Now, frame by frame. With Zap gone, it is now Kif's turn to depart the nest box. A few minutes after Zap's departure, Mom Leela attempts to get young Kif to follow her out of the nest. But young Kif doesn't comply. It's been over 10 minutes since Zap fledged, and Kif continues to peek in and out, but doesn't attempt to leave. Leela decides to bring in the reinforcements. She dangles the juicy spider in front of Kif, hoping to get his attention. She enters the nest to make absolutely sure Kif sees it. She then leaves the nest with the spider still in her beak. However, Kif doesn't take the bait. She returns with the spider, but he still doesn't follow her. Instead, like an impetulant toddler, Kif sulks in the nest box for over 4 whole minutes. At 9:47, Kif finally, bashfully peeks out. He finally jumps back up on the nest box hole and calls to his parents. Over the next 15 minutes, Kif jumps up and down from the nest box hole a few times, staying one time for an entire 8 minutes. It's been about 20 minutes since the spider incident, and Leela tries again to bribe Kif, this time with a mealworm. She tries again, but he still doesn't take the bait. At this point, Leela still has a mealworm in her mouth. She's now resorted to poking Kif to see if he will follow her. Unfortunately, he doesn't. She returns with the mealworm to try yet again. But her stubborn progeny still doesn't follow. And finally, our ornery young bluebird starts to vacate the nest. He pulls an entire wing out, only to pull it back in and retreat inside. Kif calls back and forth to Fry and Leela as he considers taking his first flight. Leela returns to try poking him some more. Still with a dried mealworm in her beak for incentive. Finally, Kif takes a leap of faith and fledges the nest a full 40 minutes after his brother. After fledging, the bluebird parents will continue to feed their chicks. The fledglings' first lessons are to learn to fly and hide from predators, and they did a great job at hiding. 12 days after fledging, one of the chicks returns to check out the birdhouse while Fry keeps an eye on him nearby. It's 2 weeks after fledging, and Leela continues to feed her chick as the chicks are still learning to catch their own food. Leela ignores the professor's begging to encourage him to hunt. When he gets older, Zap's fluttering can also be part of a courtship ritual. Finally, on the 20th day after fledging, we are able to get a closer look at the chicks. Here's one of the chicks with Fry. Zap knows that he's adorable and takes an opportunity to check himself out on the camera. Before you know it, he'll be playing Minecraft and posting on TikTok. Check out his new flying skills. He jumps backward and briefly flies upside down before turning right side up. Male and female fledglings can be distinguished from each other by the color of their feathers. This bird is male and has vibrant blue feathers on his wings and tail. Female fledglings have some blue feathers on their wings and tail, but they are not as vibrant as those of the male fledglings. One exciting milestone in the fledgling's life is learning to take a bath. It's been 23 days since the fledglings left the nest, and they are now hunting for themselves. They enjoy the ease of the dried mealworms, but are still a little intimidated by the live superworms. Finally, 27 days after departing the nest, the professor goes for a live superworm. Not long after, Zap follows suit. They quickly get the hang of it. And Kif eventually catches on as well. Oh, and of course, it's time for the boys to take a bath again. Now I'm sure you're all wondering what happened to Amy. Well, she definitely took an early flight out to Mars University. Oh, and remember Petunia, our eastern gray squirrel? One of the fledgling's final lessons is to learn how to handle potential predators like Petunia here. The fledglings and their dad Fry enjoy a little quality time dive bombing Petunia. Even Mom Leela joins the fun. A very important lesson in the bluebird fledgling's life is how to be a parent. Kip is shown here practicing feeding a mealworm to his younger siblings. With a little luck and care, we'll be enjoying the company of bluebirds for years to come. My name is Elizabeth Cherie. Please subscribe for more epic distractions.